everybody, and welcome to a Well Done Professional podcast. So, I'm very excited today to have as my guest my nephew, Genene Savall Wedd. So, thank you for being willing to do this with me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You love your Auntie Sharon, I know. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about Ethiopia and what it was like growing up as a child. We had a small segment we did on good vibes, but I want to learn more about your life in Ethiopia. So let's start with what it was like being 5 and growing up in Ethiopia.
Okay. So honestly, I would say that I don't exactly remember what I did when I was 5, but I would say that I know that in Ethiopia, most kids my age, uh, at 5 years old, would wake up early in the morning and we would take the animals out to graze, and then usually at night we bring them back. And I think that's what I did with my brothers most of the time.
Okay. And you had a younger brother that was adopted, so
Yes,
you and
yeah,
Bialu
yeah,
came at the same time to our
yes,
family
yes.
after your mom and dad had passed away. So, what was it like, first of all, when you first found out that you were going to be adopted and going to the United States? And then, what are some of the early memories you had of actually making kind of the trip and coming to the U.S.?
First off, I think when we heard that we were going to be adopted, I don't think we understood the concept, but we were still excited. I think we were excited because we were expecting change, and I think having change was enough for us to be excited. And so, yeah.
And do you remember when you first came to the U.S., what that was? What was that like? Do you kind of remember? I know you were little, but do you remember that feeling of seeing your mom and dad again, and then you know just the different changes from having been in Ethiopia to being in the U.S.?
Yes, I think one of my earliest memories of that would be when we got out of the San Francisco airport. The first thing I saw was all these cars and all these skyscrapers, and I was awed by it, and I was so shocked that there was a world this big that existed, I think.
I remember when your mom first brought you and Bialu home, and she said that she couldn't get you guys to stop eating. You just kept eating and
Yeah,
eating
yeah.
because you were so scared that you weren't going to
Yes.
have another meal. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. I think we ate a lot of fruit, and yeah, we just ate and ate.
And is it because you sometimes didn't have meals in Ethiopia?
Yes, I think that was a major part of it. But I think also the idea of having, yeah, the idea of having this much food at your disposal was a concept that we didn't understand at the time, and we just wanted to eat it.
So how old was Bialu when you came?
I think when we came to Ethiopia, we were 5. I mean, to the United States, we were 5 and 6.
Okay, okay. So I know you've been back to Ethiopia a few times
Yes.
since then. What's changed, or what has remained the same, and what's changed since you've been gone?
Well, I would say that Ethiopia is one of the most populous countries in the world, and the economy is developing quite dramatically. And so whenever we go back, you can see the changes in the city quite dramatically. There are new skyscrapers, there are more newer cars, and yeah, the city looks nicer, and there are more foreigners, and so it's developing quite dramatically, and it's good to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best thing for me is when I go back is it helps me retain my culture, and it helps me retain the language because I don't really want to forget it, and so going back reminds me of who I am.
So what is the native language in Ethiopia?
It's called Amharic,
Okay.
and I can't write, but I can speak it fluently.
So say my favorite aunt is Aunt Sharon in your language.
እኔ አንደኛ መወዳት ሀያት ስሟ አንሸረን ነው።
Oh, I like it. Thank you. So, what has you most excited? I mean, we've talked about your ability to go to college and some of those things that might not have happened had you stayed in Ethiopia. What other things have you excited about living here?
I think just the concept of opportunity and just being whatever you want to be, that's pretty exciting. And I feel like the world, the world's an open door for me, and I can do whatever I want. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I'm curious what I will become, and I'm curious what I'll do in life because I'm not really sure. And so I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very proud of how you've just grown out to be such a delightful young man. So, tell me about your goals or your dreams. I mean, I'm sure you've been here long enough now in the States that you have to have, observed a lot of things through your different places you've lived in the U.S. and just some of the friends and things you've made. Tell me some of the things that, what are your dreams and goals for the future?
Well, I feel like during my life, well, I'm still growing, but I would say that I have traveled a lot and I've seen different cultures, and I think I want to continue to do that. And whatever I do, it would involve a lot of traveling, and I think I want to be either go into business or do something like that, and then afterwards I want to open a nonprofit company of some sort that aids um, adoptees or an adopting agency or some nonprofit organization that like aids and gives money to people who are impoverished and can't survive by themselves.
Well, Auntie Sharon will be happy to place you when you get a little bit older for not for profits. We have a lot of those that need help. I was thinking you should be like a hair model. I love the hair. So, kids your age, how old are you now?
I'm 16.
16. All right. So, kids 16 who are watching this, what would you tell them or what would you share with them about? I mean, you've lived a lot of places. Your father
Mm-hmm.
works for the embassy, so you've lived a lot of different places. You've seen more than most 16
Right.
year olds, obviously. What are some things that you would share with them to just make them think in maybe a different way growing up?
Um, I think that I would tell kids my age to be themselves, or, and I think that a lot of people, a lot of kids, they spend so much time thinking about others and the way other people think about them, and so they don't really have time to become who they are, and I think they forget who they are, and I think sometimes kids are afraid to open up and to because they believe other people are going to make fun of them, and I just want to tell them to being unique is not a bad thing, and be open, be yourself, and that's when you be happy.
That's such great advice. I got to tell you, Gunnar, now most people don't learn that until they get to be my age. So that's amazing advice. So I always ask this question: if you had one do-over, now again, you're only 16, so how bad can it be? But if you had one do-over, what would it be?
um, I think that's a hard question, but I remember when I was living in Vancouver, Canada, and I was just starting high school, and I didn't go to school of any sort before that. I was homeschooled until then, and legally I was still Genene, but for my friends, I went by my middle name, Michael, because I thought it'd be much easier to say, and I don't want people to have the first impression of me being the boy who has like a too unique of a name that I don't even understand, and so I thought it would be easier to adjust to the system. But now I think back, I realize that I lost some of myself by doing that, and I wasn't being who I was. And if I went back, I would go by my real name and accept who I was.
I think you have a great name. I love your name. Favorite part of the U.S. Last question. If you could live anywhere, because again you've
Yeah.
traveled a lot, If you could live anywhere in the U.S., where would it be?
Um, I don't know. I would say maybe either California or Virginia. California because I like the weather. It's really
Mhm.
nice weather, and I think just for that, for the weather.
You don't like the snow in Wisconsin?
No, it's too cold for me. I would visit snow, but I wouldn't live in it. So, yeah.
Well, Ganana, thank you for doing this. And I just think you're the most amazing young man, and I'm so glad that you're part of our family.
Thank you.